Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to the show. You know, there's a lot of things I've been noticing out here in the internet wrestling community, and the main thing is a lot of people are starting to really not like what WWE is doing. It's starting to feel like the old school conversation of WWE, where everybody watched the WWE because it was really the only thing that was going on, and then the conversation about it was all about how much everyone hated it. All the booking decisions, all the characters, all the Vince McMahon, all the authority, all the fucking 30-minute promos. People hated it, okay? And now we're back to that same sort of conversation happening again online, which is weird because the last 2 or 3 years, it was so hot, so positive. We didn't really know what we had until it was gone. And now, seemingly, it is gone. Well, at least in the minds of a lot of fans. And today, I'm going to talk about it. My name is Dan Frampton. I am the Wrestling Absorber. And hey, you know what would mean a whole hell of a lot to me? If you hit that like button and then press subscribe. Okay, roll the title. So that old school conversation about how bad WWE is starting to resurface. The conversation that was dominating the last couple years was AEW versus WWE. It was very tribalistic. But now everybody is starting to turn their back on WWE, and AEW's ticket sales are abysmal. Professional wrestling seems to be in a pretty bad state right now, and I can understand why. There's a lot of things out there that are leaving a lot of sour tastes in some people's mouths, and I'm gonna go through why I think a lot of people are turning their back on WWE right now, or at least why they're starting to criticize it a whole lot more. Now, the big thing is TKO. When WWE sold itself to Endeavor, and then they merged WWE with UFC to create TKO, the first year of it was pretty cool. Triple H was in charge and he was doing some good things. But the more and more TKO started to get their claws into the everyday goings on within WWE, well, it started to get even more glossy, even more corporate. And now with their deals with ESPN and Disney and all these sorts of things going on, especially with Netflix, it's even more corporate and glossy than it's ever been. People that fell in love with wrestling during the Attitude Era, or even before that, even the territory system, it's always been pretty carny, to be honest. It's been pretty jagged, pretty rough around the edges, very silly, and a little bit taboo, you know? But WWE and TKO are trying to erase all of that raw edginess from professional wrestling and turning it into this slick, corporate little thing that they could sell to stockholders. Now, WWE being on the stock market is nothing new. It was eventually going to get to this point, TKO or not. This was Vince McMahon's vision, to get to this point, to be entertainment, not just professional wrestling, to be taken seriously by the mainstream, to be taken seriously by all the people out there going to movies, going to concerts and shows and that kind of thing, just people into general entertainment. That's who WWE wanted to sink their claws into. And now, with TKO, they finally kind of speed ran that to the finish line. And we're starting to see a lot of really ugly things happen on the screen that people aren't really enjoying. And one of those things that people are seeing, you can't escape it, is just advertisements everywhere. You used to not see sponsorships all over the place. There'd be sponsorship reads in between matches and that kind of thing. But now, if you're watching a premium live event, what they call it, there's advertisements on every corner of the mat. There's an advertisement in the middle of the mat. There's an advertisement on every single turnbuckle. There's an advertisement on every single turnbuckle pull. And there's advertisements on the tables that wrestlers powerbomb each other through. All of that corporate nonsense, always smacking you in the face, really takes you away from the fiction of what's going on in the ring. You want to suspend your disbelief and you want to go along for this story. Well, all these real world advertisements that you're now shoving down my throat is now telling me that this exists in the real world, and what these people are doing in the real world is fake, and I'm not going to buy into it. But me personally, as a hardcore wrestling fan, I have such a high respect for what the boys and girls do out there in the ring that it doesn't really take me out of it so much. But I do not like seeing Walmart logos and Prime logos and Slim Jim logos all over the place. No, not by a long shot. And the worst is when they sponsor an entire match by a video game or a cereal and have the actual wrestlers dressed up like the video game characters or the cereal mascots and have them come out to the ring like that. I absolutely hate that. That takes me out of it completely. When the War Raiders came out as the fucking like Clash of the Clans or whatever, get out of here. Street Profits as the Borderlands characters, it was a little bit cooler, but it still sucked a whole lot. I'm not a fan of that, and I can see why a lot of other people would be a little bit off-put by all of that as well. Now, none of that is a reason for me personally to turn off the TV and stop watching WWE. No. I've been watching sports for a long time. I've been watching movies and TV for a long time. I'm used to advertisements kind of being there, and even though I hate how they're integrated here, that's just what they're doing. At least it's not on the trunks yet. At least it's not on the gear and attire. I do believe that that's coming, but we're not quite there yet. But you know what else arrived to the WWE that people weren't really excited to see? Brock Lesnar. It's like, what? Brock Lesnar is back. The guy that's implicated heavily in this lawsuit, still ongoing, by the way. And the thing that he's implicated in is kind of, I don't know, super gross, super egregious kind of stuff. I'm not getting into all that sort of stuff here. Whether you dig that or not, Brock Lesnar is back. But the fact that he's back isn't really causing all sorts of excitement. It's not really causing all sorts of pops out there in the crowds. What it's doing is making people go, really? Brock and Cena? Really? I don't really care about that a whole lot. What, that match kind of sucked. You didn't do anything with that. Now Brock's just back doing whatever. What? Huh? No, I'm not really into this. What, Brock? So me personally, Brock Lesnar is a reason for me to not tune in, but he's never around. So I don't think Brock Lesnar's that big of a factor into people tuning out, even though it's just like, this company is making a lot of decisions that I don't really like. And that seems to be the whole crux of it, but it seems to be a whole lot of decisions that are piling up on top of one another that's making people really start having negative conversations online about the WWE product these days. And then 2025, oh my God, John Cena's retirement run was completely botched. The heel turn, great moment. Everything else, absolutely botched. There were 2 good matches throughout the entire thing, but I'm not even going to count them as like blips in the radar as cool, good moments during it. I'm calling this thing a complete write-off. This is John Cena. This is the never seen 17. This is the guy. This is the man for the last fucking 25 years out there in this company, and his fucking retirement run was completely pissed away. I've never been a John Cena guy. I'm a longtime John Cena hater, but I recognize the legacy, that of John Cena. And now that I'm sitting here in 2025, I have so much respect for John Cena. The way that he handles himself out there in the press, the way that he handles himself out there in Hollywood. His mindset is just correct when it comes to being a performer, when it comes to being in the spotlight, when it comes to competition, when it comes to personal growth. John Cena just gets it. He is just a solid ass, hardworking human being. And I respect the hell out of that. His character's a little vanilla, but it took his heel run to make me miss the John Cena. It's like, no, I want Fruity Pebbles John Cena. No. I want Make-A-Wish John Cena. And then when he turned back into John Cena, it was like, yes, finally, I'm getting the thing that I want, but it's after an entire year of bullshit. None of that is his fault. All of this falls on the shoulders of one man. Well, 2 men. The Rock and Trips. I don't know what's going on in the corporate structure with Rock and Trips and Nick Khan and all this other sort of stuff going on out there, but there seems to be some political movings in the back that make this whole product seem to stink. And speaking of political things that are happening, another reason why a lot of people are turning their back on Triple H right now is his direct involvement with the White House and the current administration, backing up the things that RFK is saying, all this crazy stuff, just so WWE can be seen as legitimate. They're in the White House. This is real sports. This is real entertainment kind of stuff. And they are doing it in the most bootlicking way that I have ever seen anybody do in wrestling. It's almost like an atrocity. It's egregious. It really is. I'm using big, strong words because it's pretty gross. Now, I understand Linda McMahon is out there in the administration. What is she, like the Secretary of Education or something? Absolutely crazy. And the fact that Triple H's nose is so far up that orange ass, he is licking those boots so hard, it's leaving a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Not gonna lie. Oh, speaking of bad political situations that they're involved in, Can we talk about Saudi Arabia and their crazy billions and billions of dollar deals they have with Saudi Arabia to sports wash all of the human rights violations they've been doing? You know you can get the death penalty over there in Saudi Arabia for saying something against the government, for not believing in God. I can go down the list. And their version of capital punishment is as old school as it gets. It is beheadings with swords or a firing squad. So all the Bill Burrs going over there doing their little sets, all the WWE going over there doing their little shows, coming back and being like, no, it's really progressive. The things they're doing for women and the things they're doing for people, really great actually. When no, written into the government, written into how they run things is not cool and not chill. But they're just taking all of that blood money, they're taking all of that bad press, everything that comes along with that, and in return, people are starting to turn their backs on it. When it was just like B shows going on over there, it was fine. You know, we could just like not watch that show. We could skip that one. But now they're going to be doing the official Royal Rumble over there. They're going to be doing WrestleMania over there. This is not cool, ladies and gentlemen. This is bad stuff. They're putting their hands in some really, really bad pockets. And when you're associating with literally the most evil people on earth, you're like, oh, well, you might be tangentially tied to the most evil people on earth. But then, you know, you can kind of excuse it because it's just Triple H doing what he thinks Vince McMahon would have wanted to do all this time, which is cozy up to the president to be seen as legitimate. Like I said, that is their end goal no matter what. It doesn't matter whose pockets they're rubbing, whose money they're taking. They just want to be seen as legitimate. They want to wash all that carny history away. And I hate that. And all of those things are things that are happening outside of the actual product, outside of what they're delivering to the customer. And what they're delivering to the customer these days, I'm sorry to say, is pretty mid. Not gonna lie. There is no long-term storytelling. There is no sagas like there was in the Bloodline where it went for years and it branched off from this character to that character. Now this character is over here doing this and it's affecting this over here doing that. The Bloodline was actually good storytelling and we're just not getting that level of storytelling anymore. Paul Heyman is still there. All those people are still there. Why aren't we doing that level of storytelling with like the Judgment Day? Why aren't we doing that level of storytelling with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss? It is possible. They are just getting by on the strength of their characters right now. Becky Lynch doing some of the best work of her life. Seth Rollins also doing some of the best work of his life, and they're doing it together. But WWE seems to be doing the thing where they realize one thing is good and they keep shoving that down your throat. I love what Io, Asuka, and Rhea Ripley are doing right now, but it's all on the back of how awesome they all are. And if we could only have some good creative behind the actual good wrestlers, the actual awesome talent that they have in the company, well then that would be great. Can we tell some good stories? There's kind of a halfway decent story with Jey Uso going on right now. There's kind of a halfway story with LA Knight and CM Punk right now. Can we go all the way in on these stories, please and thank you, and then have them pay off in less than fucking a year? It's really frustrating to see them start a story and be like, I'm not gonna see this thing end for like 7 months from now. And when it was good, it was good. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, that feud, that should have been that long. That was great. I liked all of that sort of stuff. It got a little hokey with the bracelet in there a little bit, but it was pretty good. And speaking of Drew McIntyre, Jesus fucking Christ, what they're doing with Drew McIntyre is driving at least me away. They should be strapping this guy with a strap, putting that gold around his waist and being like, this is the main bad on SmackDown. This is the man. But they're not doing that with Drew McIntyre. They're just having him go out there and do the same thing over and over again. Now, I've been hearing the comparison that Drew McIntyre is Triple H's Dolph Ziggler, and that is so true. I hate it. As soon as somebody gets up to the main event, Drew McIntyre is their first feud. If somebody wins a belt, Drew McIntyre is going to be their first feud. He's just there to take the L's in the main event, and I hate to see it. Drew McIntyre is an incredible wrestler. He's got absolutely everything that you could ever possibly need in a professional wrestler. He just oozes it effortlessly. So these bad, awful booking decisions, these perplexing decisions that are going on over there are just making people go, can we pay this off? Can we do something interesting or compelling with this even a little bit? But they don't. They just do mid stuff. Last year was amazing. This year, what the hell are they doing? The pay-per-views are so mid. These 5-match cards, give me a fucking break with these 5-match cards. Give me at least 7 matches. Something to sink my teeth into. I want to sit down for a night of enjoyment, okay? And then 5 matches, what are you doing? So these crazy booking decisions and business decisions are making people be like, I'm not into this product anymore. And the people that are into the live event portion of the whole WWE experience are getting priced out of this. John Cena's last match is going to cost you, if you want the green shirt guy seat, $11,000. $11,000 to see John Cena's last match. And it's going to be on a Saturday night's main event, which is going to be littered in ads. And not only ads all over the ring, this is on NBC. It's going to have like ads. It's going to go to commercial break, probably during John Cena's last match. That's fucked up, bro. That is fucked. But I'm staying plugged into the whole thing. And I have the key, okay? The key to this whole thing is you don't need to keep up with the week-to-week TV. The week-to-week TV, you'll learn, is the thing that pisses you off. Well, it's the thing that pisses me off the most. When you keep up with the TV, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, why are they doing that? Where's this person? What does that mean? I can't keep up with this. What are you fucking doing over there? Why is SmackDown so boring one week, then really, really good the next week, and then they forget everything that they're doing? And this is all leading us to what they are calling a creative overhaul. That was what was in the news yesterday. A creative overhaul. Well, we better fucking get a creative overhaul, because let me tell you, what they're doing creatively right now isn't the best. But here's what I think they should do. If they're really going to do a creative overhaul and not just use that as kind of like a buzzword or whatever, they need to get Road Dogg out of that booking chamber over there on SmackDown. They need to put in some fresh blood. They need to put somebody on that television show that can book it to a really high level, high quality. And not only that, you need to shift who your main people are. There are so many women's wrestlers that are so much better than the dudes. The dudes are all like near 50 years old, bro. They've had their time in the sun. They've had their time at the top of the fucking card. The ladies' time is now. These ladies could and should be realistically main eventing every single fucking show. You have top tier talent that you could really market entire events around. And not only do you have so many top tier talent in the ladies division on the main roster, there are so many being trained and developed to come up. So you have a feeder system of all these women talent and all of these women on the main roster in the prime of their career, with Becky doing the best work of her life, with AJ Lee over there, Rhea Ripley. We have experience, we have talent, we have characters that are over like fucking Rover. Rhea Ripley has millions of Instagram followers. Alexa Bliss has millions people of social media followers. The women are so much more popular than the dudes. And I might say a little bit more dynamic out there in the ring too. They always had to work 10 times harder just to get a fraction of the recognition. And now all the ingredients are there. So do the creative overhaul and like build the entire WWE around the women's wrestlers. That might just be the creative overhaul that gets people interested. Tell these compelling stories. For some reason, the ladies just have an aptitude for this a lot more than the dudes. They just kind of understand the soap opera kind of athletic, acrobatic storytelling that wrestling is, seemingly at a much higher rate than the dudes. Dynamic, charismatic characters out there in compelling stories. Let's fucking do it. They literally have the talent. There are so many good wrestlers in the world right now, more than there's ever been. There is so much good wrestling in the world right now, more than there's ever been. I love the work rate over there in AEW. Some of the best matches that I've ever seen in my life happen over there on an AEW canvas. And it's breaking my heart that they're not even bringing in like 2,000 people to Daly's Place these days. But that's a topic for a whole other video. So I think I hit every point that I wanted to hit in this video. But what do you think about all this? Comment down below. I want to know what you're saying. But before you bounce on out of here, I want to let you know about my main channel. It's called Dan Frampton. It's all one word. The O is a zero. I do these live streams in the nighttime, and I'd love to see a couple more wrestling fans over there. All right, thanks so much. Have a good one.